Ugh, British freaking bias. Here we go. This is everyone's chance to come at me. Tell me how biased I am and how I cannot possibly comment on Formula One. And the first person to have a go at me is my co-host. So here we go.
Oh, here we go. I love
Let's
that you
go.
decided to kick this off by representing all of British media. Like, I mean, what does that say about your ego, man? I don't know what that says. But anyway, here we are. Actually, I was going to tell you that this has been a fun Adrian Newey week, and
It
I, for
has.
one, have had my sort of peaks and valleys in being interested. But good God, he left me an Easter egg at the end of this saga that was him going to Aston Martin. I just loved it. There was all told. There was probably like 3 lines of it, and then oh my God, the social media has blown up. How has your week been? Have you been getting a lot of comments from non-Britishers like myself?
No one's really sort of bothered to knock at my door. But I've seen a lot of other people, and it's been fun watching the interactions at least. And then just to compound it, Sky did the exact thing that Adrian Newey accused them of, which I thought was just the icing on the cake.
Yes,
Brilliant.
yes. My week has been filled that way, right? So this is kind of how it went. Like Adrian Newey said what he said, I believe, sometime Tuesday evening my time. And then, I see content creators kind of picking on that one thing, although there was so many wonderful nuggets in everything he said. Like
It was
there were like
brilliant.
15 things you could pick on and have discussions, debates about. But good God, this one thing got going. And I saw a lot of my fellow British content creators take offense to it and then defend how they themselves are not doing. And I went back and forth with a lot of them. There was some miscommunication, there was some misunderstanding. I think it was all civil, at least as far as I can tell. But then, good God, right as things were fading down, Ted Kravitz comes over the top. He's like, "Let me show you how this British bias thing is done." And if those of you that haven't seen it, it's all over social media. There's probably clippings all over YouTube. And listen to his I believe Thursday press conference in the pen with Oscar Piastri and then Lewis Hamilton. Like he is just right there doing that. I, for one, am here for it. I just wanted to be acknowledged that that's what they're doing. So that's where I want to start today.
Yeah. Cool. But I guess
Good. Yeah. So as we get started, I just want to put some things out there. I, for one, Shez, do not hold you as representative of British media,
thank you.
much
Thank
like
you.
Lewis Hamilton's fans misbehaving or anyone driver's fans misbehaving does not represent the driver. So you're not here to speak on behalf of all British content creators, great and bad, right? And everyone in between. And so you are my partner. You've been willing to go on stage and take all of this from me. At the same time, I am not someone that speaks on behalf of all non-Britishers, and so I want to get this thing out there before I get started because I think it's important. I believe that sharing what your biases are, what your tendencies are, putting it up front on the table, being as transparent as you can be a good thing. It's not that I can sit up here and say, "Oh gosh, I have no bias at all." I do have my biases, right? I'm an Indian American, Indian by origin, born and brought up in the Middle East, lived in the United States, a consumer of all kinds of sports, right? And Formula One is my favorite sport, but I do consume other sports. And my love for Formula One, as we discussed at the beginning of this, began with everything Senna did, but it really took that peak during the Schumacher years. And then, of course, my favorite driver, as you know, is Kimi Raikkonen. Has nothing to do with me, right? But I love him. I love everything about him. This today is not about talking about why. Also want to add that I have on the record gone and said that I'm a Ferrari fan because I have been. And for me, as a sports fan, as a fan of this sport, Ferrari is synonymous with Formula One. And I don't think I need to say more. If you didn't see the last race in Monza, just go and watch the podium finish at the end. To me, Ferrari and Formula One, in a way, speak to me in ways and move me in ways that other sports don't. And therefore, that's why I love Formula One. I love Ferrari. That's my only bias. So as of today, I have no horse, pun intended, in the race. Right? I'm a Leclerc fan. When the season started, I was rooting for Sainz. I have argued with you that McLaren should support Lando, a British driver. I
I
love
have
Silverstone as my.
I have
Well,
the
oh,
complete opposite.
you had the complete opposite, but you know what I'm saying. So I don't have. So I just want to get all of that on the table before we dive into
Oh
all of
no,
my
you're
accusations.
so polite, so
I'm
polite.
so
But
polite. Well, I'm going to leave all of that at the door now.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. Let's come on. I
yes,
want some
but
action.
as I was getting ready to talk to you about this, I was like, God, I'm going to have to relitigate examples from 2021, maybe 2022. And I was like, actually, Ted Kravitz did my job for me. Like, that's exactly what he did, is exactly how I felt about how the coverage for Sky has been. So let's start there, right? Because what Adrian Newey said at the beginning of this saga earlier in the week was the nationalistic coverage by Sky F1, right? In particular, painted Max as a demon. And I'm not quoting him verbatim, I'm paraphrasing here. So this is what I kind of took with the interview. And he said something to the effect of, Sky as an outlet is a British outlet, Sky F1. I think I know there are other outlets of Sky in other countries too, but in this particular case, them. And while they're a British outfit, they also, by virtue of being the global carrier for F1, in my opinion, have a responsibility. And to put it in simple words for me, they have not grown out of it. And I actually have a simple solution to all of this. They should not be the global carrier for F1. It should either be F1 TV. You could look at ESPN, Liberty Media, Formula One's owners are US based. There's no shortage of broadcasting companies out of the US that could do this as well. Not that I'm suggesting that that happened, but alternative solutions are there. Sky has regularly disappointed me with the way they've covered non-British drivers, not just in the way that they've been critical of them, a la Max Verstappen, but also in the way that they have covered non-British drivers winning races. The clearest example of that is earlier this year in Monaco. Now, we know going into Monaco, we're not going to get an incredibly thrilling race. It's hard to overtake in Monaco as it is with these big ass cars. Ain't no overtaking. The most you could get in that kind of race is pit stop strategy, rain coming in as in a couple years ago and things changing. And fair enough. But the way the race went, there was a red flag, I think pretty much in the first 5 laps of the race, and then boom, there was none of that out there. We knew that was a boring race. But this is where the commentators come in, right? It's their job to be adding color commentary to make us excited, make us feel good about things. And the biggest thing they missed is the Leclerc story, which if you haven't had the chance, and I know you do, Shez, but if you as our viewer hasn't had the chance to read about it, just read about it. It is heartbreaking. It is amazing. It is wonderful. It is painful. All of these things. And they had damn near 70 laps to set this up, because the one thing we knew going into that race was we didn't know if the Monaco course was going to show up again and Leclerc was somehow going to use it. And I thought that they blew it. They completely blew it in the way they covered the whole race. It's their job to keep us entertained when the race cannot. Like that's the obligation, at least from my personal opinion. That's one thing, right? You juxtapose that with the way they called the Silverstone race. Sure, it had all the feelings. Lewis Hamilton coming back to win after damn near 2.5 years. Everything, and honestly, you didn't need commentators for that race. You just look at Lewis after he got out of the car, like that told you everything. You really didn't even need words at that point. But they did a wonderful job of doing that, and you could tell that this was personal to them. Like I was really surprised that I think I heard mention of 2021 in there, and that's the part that gets me. Is someone said that they still haven't given up on complaining about 2021. I can't remember who said it. I either read it in social media or some personality somewhere said it. And I think that's absolutely true, even to this date. And I think Hungary was an example of where I believe Ted Kravitz said something to the effect of sort of referring back to 2021 in whale terms, if not direct terms. And I just, for the life of me, cannot understand why they cannot grow out of being a strictly British outlet, because they're the ones that are carrying the sport throughout the world. And all you need to do is bring in, a cadre of folks that are not necessarily British. Nico Rosberg, fantastic. We have Jacques Villeneuve this weekend in Baku. Fantastic. I want that kind of stuff. So but that really refers to the authenticity part, Shez. But the fact that they cannot diversify their team, to me, says everything, that they do not care about the sport outside of the UK. And it's fine. I don't watch Italian broadcast. I'm sure it's biased towards Ferrari, but they're not they're not the international carrier. They're not the global carrier. Therefore, the bar is very different. I know you want to get a word in here. So let me pause here and see if what I've said makes any sense to you.
Yeah, it does. If it was actually correct, it's not. So, yeah. So Sky Sports have an exclusive deal to broadcast F1 in the UK and Ireland. Started in 2012, goes on to 2029, right? Every other country in the world has a choice. Their broadcasters can either create their own broadcast themselves, or they can buy up F1 TV Pro and have their coverage, which, if you're going to talk about the Monaco Grand Prix, just listen to Alex Jacques doing the commentary for the final laps, which was unbelievable. That was available in the US if you wanted it. And the other option is that they can take Sky Sports broadcast. Let me just quote ESPN president Burke Magnus in 2022. This is what he said. So you talked about ESPN creating their own production. He said this: the Sky production of the race is world class. I'm not sure we can replicate that ourselves without a lot of time, effort, and expense. So ESPN have decided that actually the Sky broadcast is the one that they want. But you have a choice, Ammar. If you don't want to watch ESPN and the Sky broadcast, pay $10.99 a month or $84.99 for the whole year and get F1 TV Pro, and you can listen to Will Buxton, Jolyon Palmer, Sam Collins, Alex Brundle, Alex Jacques, all of those people. But what
Laura
you won't
Winter.
get, but what you won't get is you won't get Martin Brundle, who's been basically doing F1 commentary since 1997. You won't get Nico Rosberg. You won't get Jacques Villeneuve. You won't get Damon Hill. You won't get Jenson Button, because all of these guys have signed up to be with Sky exclusively. Danica Patrick is another one, however you feel about her. So this is ultimately a choice. You don't have to do the Sky thing if you don't want to. They are a British broadcaster who, to their eternal credit, have actually, despite not needing to, have actually tried to get in voices that don't necessarily agree with the British narrative. Now, I agree that Ted Kravitz was a bit of an embarrassment this week, right? Especially that Oscar versus Lewis interview was absolute nonsense. But let me give you an example of what is available, right? So in the Netherlands and the Nordic countries, you've got Viaplay. Viaplay are notorious for being Max-centric, absolutely Max-centric. Can you blame them? No, you can't. They should do what the heck they want. They are catering to their own market. But outside of the broadcast, what do they subscribe to? F1 TV Pro. Because ultimately, that is the least biased broadcast in the world. And in fact, in many instances, the coverage is actually better than what Sky do. I would watch it, like Alex Brundle's breakdown, Sam Collins and Craig Scarborough. I'd love listening to those guys because they break it down so nicely. And if it was available in the UK, I would get it. You know who doesn't have a choice? Me. I don't have a choice. The only thing I can watch is Sky. I have to pay for it as well. So I am getting fleeced to watch something that I have no choice over. I'd much rather watch F1 TV, or at least have the choice to watch it if I could, but I don't. You do, and you don't use it, despite being offended by the fact that Sky broadcasts something that you don't like.
Well, it's funny you said that, because right after Monaco is when I decided to pay an additional $10.99. Which, by the way, if you know anything about American TV consumerism, that's not where we need to get into. We are being nickeled and dimed throughout. So I'm here saying that as someone who does not have the option to fork out another $11 a month, right? Because they're already paying for ESPN. I agree with, yes,
please. Can I just clarify something, which is something I couldn't get an answer to. So my understanding is that to get like live coverage and stuff on ESPN Plus, you pay $10.99. That's what gets you F1 TV Pro. Am I right?
No, it does not. No, that's ESPN only.
Okay.
The F1 TV is actually, it's more like $8 a month. It's $8.99 or something like that.
Okay, so
and
what
it's probably
do
gonna...
So what do you pay ESPN?
It depends on what you buy, right? I don't know how it works in the UK, but in the US, you can buy different packages. Right. Traditionally, you used to have 2 or 3 cable providers. They would license all the channels, and then you would pay a stupid amount of money. Well, now with the way we consume media, you end up piecemealing it. So you can go to ESPN and buy something. If you want to subscribe to Disney Plus, then there are different packages. There are different ways of doing it. But if you are someone, which most of us are by default, consuming ESPN because we consume every other sport here, that's, by the way, and so I do agree with your argument of saying, yeah, go out and buy F1 TV, but that's not what the sport wants to do in terms of growing, right? So whereas ESPN,
I think it actually
but it isn't. But F1 TV,
but F1 TV do want the Pro.
F1 wants to go. Yes, I think maybe, and it sounds like they might go to that model, right? They have a contract right now, so they have to kind of play it out. But I'm
Exactly.
talking about
They
in
have no
terms of
choice
growing
in
the
the
sport
UK.
and getting new audience. The only way you're going to get it is through ESPN because you want to tap into that sport audience that already is there. We watch college football, NFL, and well, it's not NFL, it's college football on Saturdays. We watch the NFL on well, now pretty much every day of the week, all those kind of things, right? So Formula One comes to you as that part of the package. So it's going to
Yeah.
be difficult for most, if not all, consumers to go ahead and say, okay, well, now I want to go and add another $8 there,
But
right?
that's okay, but that's a personal choice. That's not
Well, no, but
F1's
it's
choice.
not it's but okay, but what are we saying here? Okay, get lost, guys. Go get another one. Like that's the idea. That's what we're
It's
gonna
what
do.
F1 actually want, though, isn't it?
Okay,
F1
but
do want you to pay for F1 TV Pro.
yeah.
So
So,
it's
but then why are they
ESPN.
contracting with ESPN?
What is ESPN that's screwing you over? Because
Oh
ESPN aren't
man, I mean, I could
contracting.
talk to you about ESPN all day long, and I would
Okay,
agree with you, but they're
but
screwing us.
ESPN aren't
Okay,
contracting with F1. They're doing a deal with Sky.
so
So
your argument is Sky, do the heck whatever you want,
yeah,
be unapologetic for it. If they want us, they want us. Even as the English language speaking broadcast of the world, do whatever the heck you want.
but
Don't
it's not
aspire. Well, here's what
F1
I'll
TV
say.
Pro
Then I'll go
is
around and
the
tell
English
your Sky
speaking.
people not to contract with ESPN. Like tell them to just be a
But
British
I don't
thing.
care. Why
Oh,
would
but
I do
that's what I'm
that?
saying. But that's what I'm saying. But
Omar, it's not that way
but
round.
your
When you're
argument
trying
is
to
go spend another ten
wait, no, no,
dollars.
wait. When you're trying to sell something, you don't tell other people to not buy it. It's up to the buyer to not
But
buy
that's
it.
what you're just saying. Don't
No,
don't don't.
I'm saying to you, if ESPN think
Hmm.
that or consumers think that ESPN are buying a product that they don't like, vote with your feet. Don't get ESPN. Just get F1 TV
Yeah,
Pro.
and what I'm trying to explain to you is I don't have the equivalent of that. Is if you're watching every other sport there, you don't have the option to uncouple. You don't have the
Okay.
option because if you turn your TV on a Sunday and there's
But
race
then,
day,
okay, Omar,
that's what you get. So
then you have to make a choice about
I
how much it offends you. So if it offends you
no, it
enough that
doesn't.
you
It
won't,
doesn't. Well, it does. I'm talking about myself, right? So I went ahead
sure,
and made that choice, right? So
sure.
you're right. So I take your point. I'm so fed up of them that I don't even care. But then they also make my social media stream because they're just that.
Choose to ignore it, as
Yeah,
with
no,
anything
that's
else on
fine.
social media.
No, no, that's fine. I mean, because as you've said here, we get a chance to comment on it, right? And so, but I love this. I love the idea of the second you criticize Sky, right? Don't say anything to us. We're going to do what we're going to do. If you don't like it, go get something else. Whereas all of us get on here every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of the week, criticize each and every driver for maybe braking too early or too late or turning in too quickly or turning in too late or getting out of the pits too quickly. I love it. I just love seeing
But
the sensitivity.
what's the driver's response to
No,
that?
no, but the drivers would look, athletes in general, and I come here on and tell you every time, I'm not going to be critical of most athletes because they are made of steel, man. In addition to all the things they
Correct.
do that are superhuman, they go ahead and do that. But I'm just trying to point out the irony here that I said to you that this is what Sky is doing, and your idea was to get defensive about it. It's just like it boggles my mind because we are here talking about flaws about drivers and things like that. And I pointed out a flaw to you about Sky F1, and your response was, "Well, go spend $10 and go find someone else." Not okay. Let me take that criticism and say, okay, maybe there's something to this. And as the carrier, and by the way, they're not doing this for free. Like you're saying that as if they're doing this as a favor.
But that's the thing, though. Sky are not the carrier. Sky are bought up by different territories because they provide a service that people want to watch. If
Yes,
you
and
don't
they're
want to
getting
watch
paid
it,
money for it. They're licensing it. They're
correct.
licensing their
Of
brand.
course they are.
So
But if you like the product, then why would they change it?
well, we
If you
don't
don't
like
like,
it. We're,
then
we're
buy
going to
something
change. Well,
else.
it is going to get changed. So I mean, we can talk about what the outcome of this is, but I just want you to pause and recognize what's going on. The second we lay criticism on your doorstep, your response is, "Well, don't tell us what to do. We're going to do this. We're unapologetically British. If you don't like it,
Why
go
are
to
you not
F1
telling?
TV. Just just
Why are you
just
not telling
behold that
buyers?
as a concept. Just
Okay,
behold it as a concept."
without doing whataboutism, you're not doing the same thing to everybody else. So Viaplay could also sell their broadcast to everybody else. Clearly, nobody wants to buy it. Ask yourself
No,
why
you
they don't
can't
want to
say
buy it.
nobody because we as the consumers don't get to decide that. So this is the flaw with your argument. I'm not. I don't own licensing in the United States. Therefore, I can only speak as a fan. I
But you
can't
do
speak as
have
a
a
corporate
choice.
provider. Well, yeah,
No,
I
but you
made that choice now, but I'm just trying to tell
and
you. But again, this
and
is
if everybody decides that they're not going to watch Formula One on ESPN, you just don't need to watch it.
that's
Um,
right.
I,
So I we
so
can
I'm not going to
endorse
watch it
that
on.
here.
I'm not going to watch it on ESPN. I'm going to go
So
buy a subscription to F1
so
TV Pro. ESPN will clearly
okay.
understand that their ratings are going down, and they'll go in another
So
direction.
just so I understand it correctly, you're
Mm.
saying Sky don't change a thing. Consumers, you don't like it, you go away, correct? I just want to get that clear.
Yes, because they are
Because you're saying
broadcasting for
don't give
the.
us feedback. This is basically what it is. Don't give us feedback, just go somewhere else.
You can give feedback, and they can choose to heed it or not. But they have to be true to their
But
core
Shez, you
audience,
can be true to themselves and not ask Oscar Piastri a
not that
question
not
about putting
yeah,
fire in there,
man,
right?
yeah, that's
Right?
fine,
I
and
mean,
I'm happy to criticize that. But they are doing what they are doing because they are essentially broadcasting for the UK and Ireland. They're not broadcasting for the US or for Mexico or for China or for anywhere else. They're broadcasting for the UK. Everybody that buys up that broadcast does so knowing that that's what they're doing.
before I started watching, before Sky F1 got shoved down my throat, a lot of years back, we had the Speed channel that used to do this. Bob Warshaw, Steve Matchett, they used to be really
Where are
down. I
they?
would love
Where
for
are
them to
they?
come back.
So what?
I would love
So
to.
why aren't they there?
I don't get
Why is
that
Speed
choice.
TV not
But you're
around?
going to see this now because you're going to see the power of cat. Now that you've said that, and again, now you're the official spokesperson for Sky F1 in the
No, I'm not.
UK. You have said just go somewhere else, and we will. And I'm just going to tell you that's fine. But just
It's
behold that as a
it's no.
response to
Amar,
being
Amar,
criticized.
Amar, it's no skin off my nose, mate.
Just
If they
but
if Sky lose the contract in the UK, that is a beneficial to
oh, no,
me
I agree
because
with you.
I
I
finally get a choice.
we can
So
talk about the details.
if anybody is actually hard done by, it's me because I don't get to choose.
I endorse the idea of you getting ESPN, the US based coverage, so you get more of that. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I endorse the idea of you getting F1 TV. I just want us to pause for a second instead of going into the details, just as a concept. What I've
Mm.
seen this week is we talk about inclusivity, we talk about being diverse, we talk about all of that. And the second an English designer throws fuel in the fire, and this is him saying that Max was demonized. I have seen line after line after line after person saying, no, no, no. No one has said, oh, yeah, maybe we were a little too hard. And that's the only ask, by the way, Shez. No one is saying, don't be true to yourself. But what I'm hearing is, don't tell us what to do. Don't tell us absolutely what you
Okay,
either like us or you don't like us.
okay.
That's been the idea.
Okay.
And so
This
I've
is
had this discussion with someone who just said, yeah, well, we're going to do that. I'm like, so this is how DEI efforts fail because
okay.
nobody wants to take any feedback. That's all the feedback
This is
is.
the most important thing you said, right? So let's talk about this, right? Sky are one thing. Sky are biased. They're British. They are catering to that market. That's what they are designed to do. That's a separate issue. I cannot control that. I also think that what Ted Kravitz said
Well, you
in
guys could
TED,
cancel your subscription too, right? That would now give them.
but then I can't watch Formula One.
Okay. I mean, come on, take a stand. Ban it. And
No,
then Formula One will also force them to change.
no, the only person that will lose out is me. I want to watch Formula One. It is the only way I can watch live and uninterrupted
I will
coverage
buy
of it
you
in the
an
UK.
F1 TV subscription. Can you do
I
that? You
mean, I
can't
can
use it.
pay out for a VPN, but the VPNs that I want
See?
are also banned. They also will not let me take F1 TV Pro. That is the problem that I have. So I don't have a choice like you do.
We should march onto skies,
But
yeah,
okay,
and then do
but
Occupy
let's
Sky.
put that to one side, right? And let's just talk about British bias as a entity and what it has become, right? So I love our audience. You know that I love reading our comments and I respond to all of them.
You do more so than me.
It's
Yes.
how we finished every single one of our shows. But what I often find, and it's not just on this channel, it's when you read comments in other people's channels as well, often accusations, and not even accusations, but insinuations that someone is displaying British bias are often used as a synonym for I don't
Yeah.
agree with you,
Yeah.
right? And actually you did it to me on this channel. We were having a conversation about flaws in drivers, and I said that Max Verstappen might have a flaw. And rather than considering that, you immediately went, that's because you're British and you don't even understand that you're biased. And for me, the irony of that was that I went through a list of drivers, some of whom were British, some of whom were not British, and I identified flaws in every single one. Whereas you didn't want to look for a flaw in a driver, decided that that driver was perfect, and therefore but still thought that I was the one that was being biased. And I found that really difficult. I mean, I'm being honest with you, right? I found that, we've talked about this offline as well. And I'm not trying to demonize you. I'm just saying that that's a typical response, that rather than saying, like, I just disagree and I think that Max is perfect, the attack is you're saying that because you're British, despite the fact that I then went on to say that Lando Norris is deeply flawed.
Yeah,
And I
but
think George Russell is deeply flawed. And even Lewis Hamilton has
that's
a deep flaw that is
but
probably a bigger flaw than the one I'm criticizing Max for. And yet I'm still biased. I'm displaying British bias for even suggesting that Max Verstappen might have a flaw. Do you understand why that's problematic?
yeah, it's the same reason why you won't take my feedback on Sky and turn around and tell me, well, go to F1 TV. But in that particular argument, I do remember saying the flaws that you were pointing out were not flaws in my opinion, because when he raced Leclerc wheel to wheel, they raced fine. I felt like my example there was dismissed. And you said, well, where's the proof of that? And I said, well, go through most of 2022. Whenever they were wheel to wheel, none of them crashed. Not one that I can remember. And yet there were clashes with Lewis, George, and Lando more recently. But with everyone else, it did. And so
I didn't clash. I didn't clash into Lando.
Hang on,
I didn't clash into.
But while you
Max
say
did.
But while you say I went to the British bias narrative, it's because I felt like I gave you proof and you summarily dismissed it as if, well, okay, but that's just Leclerc. And so I felt like, okay, well, then what else is this now? That's how I felt. Because I don't feel like you acknowledge that. And this is my point. It's fine. It is okay to have. I'm not a Max Verstappen fan or a hater. I'm not a Lewis Hamilton fan or a hater.
That's fine. And so whether I like Max or not, or whether I approve of his tactics or not, or his driving or not, why can't that just be about me having an opinion about Max? Why does it have to be about me being British? That is what I don't understand.
Again, my recollection was I was pushed to the point where and we could go back and relitigate this, but I gave you all of Leclerc examples. And again, that seems to mean nothing. So you didn't come back and say, well, yeah, okay, maybe there's a trend, there's a pattern. I don't know. I don't know what the patterns are. Like,
So perhaps Max has a British bias and only
maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not Max's spokesperson. Yeah, but
it seems to be Lando, George,
look,
and Lewis.
At this stage, I wouldn't.
That's not me being biased. That's Max being biased.
I mean, I think now the list is growing, right? It was Fernando, it was Max. I think you could add Oscar Piastri to the list as well, right? You know, at one point, no, I said Oscar Piastri. I'm not talking about you. No, not you. I'm talking about because what Ted Kravitz did earlier this week. Like, I mean, I can see a Sky. But again, Shez, this is what I'm saying again. You cannot just put them on the side because they are the thing. You can tell the rest of us, yes, go out and get an F1 channel description, but not everyone can afford it, by the way.
Ammar, we're circling back to that argument. I am talking now about specifically using British bias on individual content creators to say that I don't agree.
I mean, I don't want to litigate that, but you went on a podcast a few weeks ago defending Leclerc, and I thought that there was a lot of British bias there because what I heard was that Leclerc was going to get no credit, not you. Leclerc was going to get no credit for, I don't know, a word salad based, kind of argument that made no sense. It's like, he's won Monza, he's done it in a great way. I'm not going to give credit to him. And that is what I hear. That's a team, Shez. And to be honest with you,
but that same content creator also gives Max his flowers every single opportunity he gets.
Yeah, but that doesn't. If you do one right and one wrong, doesn't mean that now everything you do is like we're not going to paint one.
Why can it not just be his opinion on that driver? Why does it have to be because he's British?
It can be. It's also name calling, no? It's also name calling. It's everything that adds up to it, right? It's all of that, right? And it's fine. And look, we're gonna differ in the way we look at it because our lenses are different. Absolutely no problem with that. I 100% see. if I were in the UK and I consume Sky, of course I would be unapologetic for it. I mean, heck, that's what Americans lead the world in being, which is unapologetic for anything, right? But the reality is, what this has felt to me in this is going through the last 5 years of watching. There's been a lot of talking down to like non F1 or newcomers of F1. That's what I hear from some of my friends and colleagues over here who consume the sport, and they just feel, and this, I don't have a big focus group or anything. It's probably a sample size of 5 or 10 individuals, but they're part of my circle here. I discuss the sport with them, and I just hear this over and over again when they see not just Sky, but even a lot of content creators. Because look, whether we like it or not, this is
Yeah.
British. Britain is where motorsport originated. I get it. It's the home of
It's
motorsport.
not
So that's
actually,
kind of how it's going to be.
it's actually France.
Okay, but all right,
Grand Prix does actually
really,
come
I
from
mean,
France.
okay, but when we go to Silverstone, everyone keeps telling me, "Oh, this is the birthplace of motorsport." That's what they kept celebrating 70 years.
I
Okay,
don't
fair
know.
enough. I got that wrong.
They
I
say
don't.
that.
I clearly haven't done my research on it, so take that for what it's worth. Like I'll put it out there. You make fun of me
Well,
for that. I have no problem at
well, I
all.
mean, but it's in the name. Grand Prix. It's clearly a French word.
Okay, I get it, man. But you guys hold the keys to the castle right now. Well, sort of. I mean, F1 Liberty Media is American, but we don't care about anything but money here. But that's kind of how it is. So I would just tell you that that's how it's felt. And Adrian Newey really gave voice to that, right? And the fact that he gave voice to it, to me, and I messaged you right away saying I feel exonerated, right?
Yeah.
Because this is a genius. What do you got? Whatever. I mean, you're the fanboy here. You tell me who he is,
Of
and
his
he
of
is
his
telling you something.
of his technical capability and his wordsmithing.
So,
He's
but not this
very, very.
part. But he was with the
No,
team, right? I
no, no,
mean,
no. I mean, I agree with him. Sky F1 is massively biased. It's massively biased.
and they're a little bit more than
They,
that now. And I'm here for drama, man. But I mean, good
they
God, like
and
it's
they
just
but they do have voices in there that they do try and mix out with. Listen, I just want to finish on this because I think we're just running out of time a little bit. I hope that on our channel we do not talk down to anyone. And if
you never do. I'll just say that too.
if anyone were to think that that's what we do, then we should change our whole format and change the way that we talk about things. And I absolutely want to know in the comments any other way that you want to get in contact with us. If you think that one of us is talking down to you, or that we're not explaining things in a way that makes it accessible, that's what we're here for. We're here to make F1 accessible and give our own views on what all of these topics are. This conversation is just, me and Ammar are a family. Literally, we're family, we're friends, and this kind of conversation, this kind of
We
debate
have
goes back
every
and forth.
day.
Yeah, goes back and forth between us all the time. This is just the first time that we've decided to head to head put it on camera, and I hope it was at least useful and gave anyone that was listening a slightly different view. Maybe it changed your view, maybe it didn't, maybe it absolutely solidified what you think about the media, about Liberty, about F1, about Sky, whatever, or even about individual content creators. That's what we're here for. What I really want is for you guys to, as usual, please subscribe. It's super important.
No matter how you feel, please subscribe.
The more you subscribe, the more we can do, the more we can put this stuff out. But also, I really want to hear from you guys. This is one that's actually an important video that's close to both Ammar and my heart. We really want to hear what you think. I know that a lot of you guys have strong feelings about what we do, even on this channel. But I want to hear about it, and we'll comment on everything. And we'll try and respond, but we'll also try and respond in our next few videos and see if we can change what we do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will see you guys in the next one. We've got a big weekend coming up this weekend. Looks like there's some fun stuff to happen on track. But we'll see you across the weekend to talk about it. See you later.